Hello and welcome to the Sunday Guardian show by Joyita Basu. Viewers, have you noticed that there is a sudden quote-unquote bonhomie in India-China relations? The first batch of Indian pilgrims has reached Mansarovar. The Chinese ambassador is waxing eloquent about the civilizational connection between the two countries, about how historically, culturally we are connected, which we are, but China generally doesn't talk about it. So what exactly is going on? Are we thus witnessing some kind of a reset in India-China relations that had fallen in hard times post the Galwan Valley clash of June 2020? Well, if you ask me, the answer to this operates at two levels. At one level, primarily on the level of the surface level, the answer is a yes. But deep down, the answer is a no. You see, whatever be the civilizational connections between the two countries, the fact is that the normalization along the line of actual control is just not there. Now, we may have had what is known as the deep disengagement of troops. Now, even though problems remain even in that process, de-escalation is nowhere near to happening. And China is continuing to build military infrastructure and dual-use infrastructure on its side of the LAC. And obviously, we also do not have any choice but to build our infrastructure on this side, our side of the LAC, which China does not like, by the way. At the same time, if you're looking at the situation in China, what is going on, media reports, and there are reports, credible reports I would say that there has been a 30% augmentation of Chinese troops in the Tibetan area, which is basically they are facing directly India. So obviously the target is India. So what kind of a normalization is this? Now then take the case of the hurdles China is erecting on India's path to become a manufacturing powerhouse. Now you must be knowing that China's ban on rare earth exports and magnets also, by the way, has had a negative impact on the manufacturing capacity of this country, particularly the automobile industry. We are trying to overcome that and we are trying to source it from our own country and other sources, but the problem persists. Now, China also, you must be knowing, that has been creating trouble even in sending trained manpower to Foxconn's plant to manufacture iPhones in India. And even otherwise, think of what is happening on the international forum. Just because China says that it wants to normalize relations with India, will China, for example, I'm talking about one instance, will China agree to India joining the United Nations Security Council, UNSC? No, it will not. It is totally opposed to it. And the thing is, you see, it is still helping Pakistan. So now, what sort of a normalization are we talking about? You know, and if you must have noticed, a group of journalists, Indian journalists, have also gone to China, and they are talking on a server in particular, and they are talking, they are waxing eloquent about what a fantastic place China has turned Tibet into and all. But we have to look at it in terms of what sort of a normalization are we talking about, when till date India itself has refused to resume direct flights to China. Now the flights were suspended during COVID sometime in 2020, and that kind of the problem persisted even up to, because even in June the Galwan Valley clash took place, June 2020. So direct flights have not been resumed till now. China has been pushing for it, and there was some talk about resuming direct flights from India. But Indian government decided to delay the process primarily because there were reports of China playing a very malign role in Operation Sindoor, during Operation Sindoor, by helping Pakistan. In fact, China offered operational support to Pakistan. So Indian policymakers is not letting that go past them easily. And also, as you know, India is yet to reverse its stand on allowing investors from countries sharing a border with it, meaning primarily China. So we are not allowing investment to come in from China as well. So whatever normalization that China is talking about, we ourselves are not part of that process as yet. You see, as for China's push for normalization of ties, now it has to be seen in the context of Beijing keeping its border with India, quote unquote, trouble free for the immediate future as China concentrates on consolidating itself against the US. Now, it may even be looking at India as a target of dumping cheap goods. Okay, as trade atmosphere gets, it sours for it in different parts of the world. Hence, those who see in the Manasarovar Yatra a major breakthrough, a major reset of relations, need to temper their excitement. Now, it has to be seen, in fact, for how long China is even willing to keep this route open, or if it uses the Manasarovar Yatra as a pressure point for India in border negotiations. Now, lest we forget, if in China's view of 21st century, now if in China's view, 21st century is Asia's century, there is no place for India in that century. It is also a Chinese century. Now, China would like to have India under its thumb as a vassal state. It has successfully converted Russia into a vassal state. Now it wants India to become a vassal state. So, notwithstanding the outreach to India, it expects its supremacy to be recognized and accepted by India. Something, it goes without saying, India will not do. You see, two neighbors cannot be in a state of war permanently and perpetually. Now, there has to be a pause. And when I'm talking about a war, it can be an overt war, it could be a covert war, it could be a hot war, it could be a cold war. Now, so this so-called normalization is a pause in overt hostilities, nothing more. There is no change in our stand to China, and there is no change in China's stand to India. What China is playing is that it's playing a dual game. And that is what we need to be very wary about while saying that yes, we are normalizing relations. That's what China is doing by saying that we are normalizing relations, while at the same time ensuring that its infrastructure is up to date so that any given day it can get into a conflict with India. Thank you for watching. Until the next time.